Welcome back to another weekly update on the Real Talk with the Real Abhinav. And man, this week once again was a very, very tough week. So let's get right into it. I want to tell you guys about how Monday went. Actually, it was a very difficult day. I had a stressful day with my family at the airport. So my parents, my brother, they're all going to India, right? And we had to help them, pack everything and get into this car. We had extra stuff, because my brother has, other wheelchairs and equipment and things like that. We get to the airport, there's very unhelpful customer service representative. And, I work with customers, right? So I'm in this field and I walk in after, making multiple trips to get my family to the counter. And then they're giving my dad a whole bunch of shit about, the battery style of the thing that my brother's scooter uses. Anyway, long story short, I got really upset. Like I was just not having it. I actually even like kind of lashed out a bit and showed a bit of frustration to this customer service representative at the counter. And I immediately felt like, wow, I'm really not helping the situation. So I ended up, backing off, walking away. And I only got to see that my dad, who actually is, props to him. He knows how to deal with people way better than I do. He's definitely much older than me. And I got to really, the lesson that I'm learning by reflecting on those series of events on Monday was that I got a lot to learn from my dad. And even though my dad has his shortcomings, he has his flaws, which, I'm very quick to point out to him and, look at him as if like, dude, you can't be giving me advice when you yourself are not doing some of these things, right? But the reality is, man, when it comes to dealing with people, when it comes to getting things done, there's really no one better than my dad. And I really got to learn that from him that day. And like the nugget of wisdom that I got out of it was like, hey, God has put people in your life, especially the real close ones like your family, to teach you something, even with their pitfalls, even with their setbacks, the way they are, the things that tick us off. They're all there as mirrors to help you self reflect. And that was one of the biggest takeaways that I got, that my dad, he's still teaching me things. And if I can be a little bit more like him when it comes to managing people, man, I'm going to get so much better in my business interactions too, because I've had also a lot of tough conversations this week. Like I had a red flag situation. What does that mean? Part of my job, what I do in business is I conduct renewals for customers who buy our software. And I have to make sure that, they bought it for some reason. They had an outcome in mind. If they didn't achieve that outcome, they're likely not to renew. Well, in this case, this has been something that has been on my mind. I've been meeting with this customer every single day. So I've met with them 52 times last year. They've had so many internal issues. I won't get into the details. But the net was like on Friday last week, I had a emergency sort of red flag situation where I'm hearing about competitors who are trying to poach this client from us by showing them that their technology is better when ours is far superior in the graph space. And I got to get some intel. So I'll talk a little bit about how I got this in a second, but the reality was I had to get the team together in my company immediately and get them to understand what the situation is, articulated in a way where there's clear action steps for, who's working on the negotiation part, who's talking to who at the client side, and how we're going to manage the situation because we're less than 3 weeks away from their deadline of their subscription. And we want to make sure that they renew. We've also been helping them out so much from our side that it would be a terrible loss. Like after meeting with someone every freaking week, imagine now they decide to go date, the girl that's over there versus like the time and energy you've been spending with them, right? It kind of really hurts a little bit on the inside, but at the same time, this is business, so it's not emotional. But I take a sense of pride in what I do, and building relationships is something that I love to do. And, going back to how I learned from my dad when he was dealing with people, when things don't go your way, it's so important to still remain calm and not let your ego flare up. And look, I have a huge ego. I got that from my dad. He has a big one too. But at the same time, I've seen him be so composed and just to like, get someone, you know, just it's like it's an art. Like I don't even know how to put it into words right now. It's like one of those things where there's been continuous reminders in my life lately where I have more growth to do. I have more learning to do. Another big thing is really like slowing down. When I have an outburst of emotions, when I feel reactive, just slowing down. It's just one of the biggest lessons, slowing down, taking a few deep breaths, remembering, surrendering to the higher power, asking God for help, asking the universe to help. It's just been a reminder for me this week because more and more things continue to go wrong. As I record this right now, we have no water in the house. We've had another major leak. It's been 2 or 3 days of repairs right now outside the house. There's a big ass hole they're digging to like get to the main line to do the main line repairs. We've been out of water yesterday, out of water today. Not like the end of the world. Most of the world doesn't even live with clean water. So I'm not telling you this to feel sorry for me, but I'm just telling you this. Like, it's like little things like that tend to tick off my mood. For example, yesterday I had such a bumpy emotional day. It started out in the morning again. We had no water. I didn't go to the gym because I wouldn't be able to shower right away afterwards. So I waited all day, and for me, my gym is like my meditation. It's like my solitude, my me time, right? And especially now that I've already dialed back on the workout to be only 3 times a week. If I missed it, then I'm not on schedule for meeting my goals of weight loss and all that stuff. So I was just overly like complicated in my own head, overthinking shit. But towards the end of the day, things started to get better. Like, they had to turn on the water regardless of the leak because we need to live. And once they did that, I was like, okay, well, it's only 6 o'clock, maybe, and I had eaten dinner. I went to the gym at 7, and I was like, hey, this is fantastic. I got to do my thing. And immediately, like after finishing my workout, I had a whole sense of clarity. There was a whole bunch of doubt in my head as well because I haven't been able to sit down and create last week or this whole last week, right? Because I've had so many little things come up that were taking me away from my creative time that I want to spend to make videos for you guys to continuously put out content. And I just felt in my back of my head like, man, it's only the 4th week of the year and you're already falling off of your goals. Because I really beat myself up on some of this shit. And, some of that is really needed because if I'm not hard on myself, no one else is going to be hard on me because none of these things matter. None of my goals matter to anyone else outside of me. So I have to take, a real look within myself. But when I see myself beating myself up like this, it doesn't actually help. What makes more sense is, okay, do something about it. Okay, so I went and did something about it, went and got my workout. I got an instant, relief from whatever stress I felt. Like Drake's line, when all problems hit the gym and they all work out. I mean, that's a fact right there. Whatever shit's going on in your head, you just get an immediate like sense of clarity after you're done. And I started to rethink. I had my creative juice flowing again. Okay, I have ideas of what I want to do next. And I'm just sharing this with you guys because this is something that I'm sure many of you struggle with, which is like sticking to your priorities. But realizing that you have to just approach your things a little bit differently and still continue to have some level of discipline, because you can't just, say, okay, just because I couldn't get to it this week, I'll get to it next week. No, I mean, find the time whenever you have it. Like today, I have a bit of an open day, so I'm actually sitting down and recording the few videos that I want to do today instead of, pushing it off till tomorrow, because I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. So I really like taking ownership of where things are today and like what kind of situation I'm in today and how I can actually use that. Another like fantastic thing that happened is last night I stepped on the scale and your boy is actually down from 180 to actually 179.5, which is fantastic because I have not broken below 180 for some time. So I'm still tracking on my goals, even though I didn't feel like I was. I told you guys about my herbal supplements that I've started with my Ayurvedic doctor to help with my skin condition that I've had. I've noticed already just by changing my diet up and using these herbal supplements this week that I've noticed already my skin is not getting worse. It's not necessarily like fixed or anything, but I'm hopeful that the things that are happening are in my favor. Like my body is healing. I trust the natural process of things to take place. And again, that's been a big reminder for me this week is, going at your own pace, trusting the process and sticking to it, not getting distracted or derailed by things that come up, not getting distracted and derailed by things that are shiny, like chasing other things rather than sticking to your goal, like staying narrow focused on your vision, right? And just putting blinders on, tunnel vision, just getting right in the zone as much as you possibly can. And when you fall out of it, it's quite natural because no one can continually sustain that. So I have been using affirmations. I have been writing to myself a little bit more this week as well to just kind of continuously remind myself that, no one else is going to care about my goals more than me. And one of the other lessons that I've learned this week is when it comes to your passion, like I have a lot of responsibility in my life now that I'm a man of the house. I have a family, head of the household type of situation. I stay true to those. But like, for example, if I can't get in my workout, if I can't do my creative things, I feel a sense of like low grade dissatisfaction or even resentment a bit, right? So I have started noticing that when that happens, like yesterday, and understanding that, that's going to unintentionally manifest itself into my life. When I'm playing with my son, I would be thinking about other things. When I'm like doing work, I'm thinking about, man, I didn't get to go work out today. Like everybody's sucking away my time. I have a really good quote of a friend of mine, Brad, told me. He said, hey, if you don't manage your time, other people will manage it for you. And one of the things I'm learning to be reminded of that again is, hey, just because I have all these other responsibilities doesn't mean that I shouldn't be able to do what I need to do for myself. I just have to budget the time for me and put me time in the calendar and make it non-negotiable. So sometimes that's going to require me getting up at 4:35 in the morning and spending the first 2 hours of the day to do the things that I need to do for myself before the rest of the day goes on, before my business work takes over, before my family life takes over, before my, other commitments to other people take over, because I definitely want to do those things for other folks, but I have to kind of fill my cup before I can pour anything into someone else. I have to show up with the best of myself for others, so that way I am being the best version of myself. And one of the other things that helped me is this week I actually got to talk to a few of the people I look up to, like Matt, which you've seen on the podcast before. I was telling him a bit about how I've been feeling a bit of like, envy and jealousy and not really being super like tight into myself. And he just reminded me, dude, you got to go into your cocoon and put all your energy into what you're doing. The more you look around at what other people got going on, it's just wasted energy. Well, you can be focusing that shit back on yourself. And if it's starting to feel like everything is just really hard and it's not coming together, then, surrender to that and understand that it shouldn't be that way, especially for the things that are meant to be for you. The more you're at ease with things, the better they flow. It's better to go with the natural flow of things. I also talked to my friend Banu, who's also been on the podcast. He's, in his 70s, and he told me about like how it's very natural for a human being to look around and be envious of other people. It's actually not uncommon. And the fact that I'm talking about that in this channel is just the testament to me keeping it very real. Like, this is the real Abhinav, and I talk about real things, and some of it might be like, oh, that's kind of strange because, no one else is really talking about it, so it must be localized to me. The reality is most people will not share the true things that they feel. They'll tell you something to make you feel like, they're doing better than they actually are, when the reality is everyone goes through these feelings. I know that for sure. So for me to like say I shouldn't have these feelings is not the right approach. It's better understanding, and again, remembering and reminding myself like how much I have going for myself, that I have a beautiful home, I have a beautiful family, everybody I love is still doing well, they're healthy, they're alive, and things can change in a matter of seconds. That's pretty much what 2023 has shown me, is that the universe will bring challenges to you all the time, and it's how you push through them, how you stay still balanced with all of that and still pursue the things that you want to do, like grit, right? It's one of my focus words, is to continue to work towards the things that I want, do unreasonable amount of work that it would be impossible for me not to be successful. And looking back at this month, on YouTube, we've actually put out a ton of great content, even though I felt like I was behind. We're doing great work. Like my teammate Kevin, he's kicking ass. He's pushing through all of his challenges, and I'm just super grateful for everything I have. And just reminding that universe wants me to do this, and the challenges and setbacks are just there to help me grow and be a better version of myself. So I hope you found this week's real talk, real update helpful. Let me know what insight you got out of it. If there's anything that you want to share about your life, I would absolutely love to hear it in the comments. So please put something in the comments and let me know how you're doing, what you're going through, and I would love to hear from all of you. So God bless all of you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, the weekend, and fucking crush it this year. Love you all. See you next time.